Referee University Ref Talk, the 30-minute podcast.
Do I like more professional this time? Like no V-neck. I've got my hair kind of nicely organized.
I think you're going to be fine.
Okay, excellent. I feel pregnant. I gotta fix
Maybe
that.
a little pregnant, but that's okay. In most people's career, there's a turning point. TSN coined the phrase TSN turning point on when a game changes, and that's when one team triumphs, right? Or one individual does. So when was your turning point as an official that you were going to be very good and a U Sport official?
I had a couple of different turning points over the time. I remember it was probably my second year working high school, and I got selected to go to Provincials, and it was just the 2A Provincials up in kind of western Manitoba, and I managed to snag the final, the gold medal game, and I was like, yes, this is great. And then that kind of allowed my career to prosper a little bit more here in town, doing higher level games, et cetera, et cetera. Went to a bunch of camps over time, and then finally went to one where I met with the Canada West supervisor, and I was hired to work Canada West. And again, I was like, yes, this is awesome. I've done it. And going in there, I thought I was pretty good anyway. And that's totally arrogance of me, but I think that we all have that sense of arrogance, and we need to have that in order to succeed. It's just a matter of how we kind of share that with people and what they think of us. But got there, got the opportunity, got the contract, and I was like, okay, this is great. I'm good enough to do this. And then as it starts, I remember it took a while, and I was like, I'm not getting any games. I'm not getting any games. And then I finally got a game because somebody was sick, and I was like, okay, yep, that was good. And then it honestly took me a number of years once I got to that level where I just didn't necessarily fit in with what other people were doing, because I had my game that I'd been calling for years, and there's a difference at that level. And that was something I was always very, very passive in terms of my call selection. So getting there and then kind of bringing that call selection up to where it needed to be took me a number of years. And I've been doing it for a long time now. And I would say the last handful of years even have been a new turning point for me in terms of being successful at that level, because I've corrected kind of what some of my deficiencies were.
You know, it's funny that you talk about adjusting your game, and that's a big thing that officials have to do every time they jump to a higher league or a next level. And the evolution of the game is more, you know, freedom of movement is the best way to put it. Restriction of movement was that old school play where you're a little bit more physical. They're kind of eliminating that or reducing that. What's your thoughts on that?
Trying to get rid of some of that sneaky stuff, I guess.
Yeah, that the sneaky stuff of Europeans do it really well, and they quick clutch of the jersey, quick grab of the hips. Now those are easy fouls. There's no problem with that. Just like when you watch The Last Dance, they have those Detroit Piston fouls. Anyone can call that. What we're talking about is not Detroit Pistons. We're talking about, you know, a little bit of taps, and a guy like James Harden goes, oh, throws his head back, or a quick tap of the arm, or a hand check, you know, those things being eliminated to have freedom of movement, more offense. That's what I'm talking about.
The game evolves for sure. And it's interesting for us because we have people, and I look at our senior men's leagues now, where we're reffing players that played at the U Sport level, or in some cases played pro and are very good basketball players, but they played during a different time when we were using either NCAA rules or a different rule set, or how we apply them were a little bit different in terms of these nominal minimal contact plays. We were calling those kind of what we'll use the term touch fouls. We were calling those for a while, and then we got away from it. And so I would do their games and get nothing but a headache and lecture, and because I wasn't calling that stuff. And I was like, guys, the game has changed. And now, interestingly, it's almost coming full circle and going back to really removing a lot of that kind of physical or handy type of stuff and getting more into, as you mentioned, the freedom of movement era.
You know, I'll never expect a player or have a player, you know, let me rephrase. I understand when players are frustrated on not understanding the change of rules. Rule changes occur, little adaptations occur through FIBA. What annoys me would be they don't put any effort to learn after it's been communicated. So as you said, game changes, different rules. they're complaining about it, you give them the explanation, and instead of adapting, they just continue to complain.
They don't care what the explanation is. It's just, I'm wrong. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong, the end. And I was like, but no, that's not how it is. And what is actually super frustrating in those situations is me showing a willingness to talk instead of getting defensive or being a dick about it, is trying to say, hey, let me explain. I'm not having any of that.
No.
Okay, great. Then let's just move on and be angry. Because is that gonna make it better? And it's almost like they want to be angry, which is super frustrating.
And it's crazy. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Players are going to react, and they're going to think they know the rules. And as officials, like I said, I can always excuse someone growing up in a different time. Like you said, some of them played in the CIS back in the 80s, and there was more touch fouls. But I will not have an excuse for people that are unwilling to learn.
Right? I
Now,
agree.
you talked about not having any gold medals, but you went to a bronze medal game, right?
Yes, thank you. I've been to a couple of national championships. I went to the U15s in Kamloops years and years and years ago, and I was actually the alternate for the gold medal game. So I did the last place game and sat at the table for the gold medal game. So that was kind of neat. Honestly, I thought I should have been in one of those games, but you always think that. And nobody wants to be like, hey, way to go. I came to this tournament and sucked. So this is what I got. I thought I did all right. It was my first experience. Is what it is. Other time was in 2013. I went to the Canada Summer Games in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and I was awarded the bronze medal game. And I think we were at a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes in. It definitely wasn't the end of the first quarter. Stepped off the baseline, called it travel, got a partial tear in my calf, which I knew because I had had it happen before, and so ended my bronze medal game.
Now, it's not a bad thing. Obviously, everyone wants gold. But first of all, being selected is a challenge in itself. And then making it past the 12 to 16 officials, depending on what tournament you go to attain a medal game. But you do have a little bit of an interesting story that your clothes have been a part of a gold medal game. However, you have not.
Yeah, so for those of you that aspire to go to one of these types of tournaments, much like yourself, when you go, there's always the kind of apparel and dress parts, and you want to look the part. So typically they're kind of business casual, golf shirts, button downs, whatever you want, some nice pants, etc. And I'm pretty sure when you were going to U17s, it was like the day before or maybe even the day of, and you had like all your basketball shorts, and I'm pretty sure you had like a Bison's bag with all your like track suits and stuff in it. And I was like, you can't wear that. And you're like, what do you mean? I was like, you have to dress up. Like, you need golf shirt. You need this stuff, which of course you had none of. Probably one purple shirt back then though. And so I think I was at the lake and you're texting me about it. And I was like, you need some clothes. And I want to say it was my father-in-law to come unlock the house. And then you came into my place and pretty much went shopping in my closet while I was at the lake.
On the phone. You
Yep.
were directing me in your house where to find the things.
Yeah, find this, these shorts are here, go get that, that'll work together. And then you go out and nail it and get the gold medal game. Way to go, champ.
Now, the only thing I'll add to my story, because obviously this is about you. So the one thing I will add is that obviously I've never been to the tournament, so I don't know what the expectation is. So I show up with a backpack like a player would, while everyone has their rolling suitcases. So thank you for that, because if I would have shown up with the gear I had, it probably would have looked like I'm just an athlete at the venue versus an actual official. But that was a quick reality check.
We got you all fixed up. Don't worry. That little mentor thing of mine will always continue. I will always be your mentor.
Yes, and I think I wore one pair of those clothes. I think I kept one pair for Canada Summer Games, and it worked out again for me. But, it's just an interesting story that no one else knows, that I had to raid your house while you were away so I can wear things. So that must mean you're in pretty good shape.
All my clothes have been successful.
Yeah, that means you're in pretty good shape that we both can match clothes.
Yes. I can match a former USports athlete. Fantastic.